Waging War on Hollyworld, the occulted truths of pop culture. This Mindshare production is a collaborative project created by the Pop Culture Addiction Detox Center, Trashaholics Anonymous, the Mind Master, and his fellow Mind Master friends. Forget revelation, pop culture is more toxic and prophetic. This is a tool for breaking addiction to pop culture and detoxing victims of toxic culture. Oh, I set my expectations so high. I'm full of hope, I suppose. Warning. Yeah, they should put this on everything coming out of the pop culture factories. Today I'll be doing mostly reading from detailed notes that evolved into script. A few clips, a couple of clips, one from a movie and one, well, something else special. This is my foundational lecture in a possible series of lectures titled Waging War on Hollyworld. I intend to expose pop culture as toxic and riddled with occulted facts and intentions. My transparent intention is to cure pop culture addicts and alert everyone about the mind control strategies being used against us, and to expose the truths, occulted or hidden, in pop culture, in order to inform everyone about what is happening and what might happen. Pop culture is toxic for several reasons. First, it promotes these harmful stupidities: belief that war and violence are solutions and real with regards to war. Two, death is only a biological problem, not a psychological challenge we can and must overcome honestly, not with recourse to lies. Three, heroes are necessary. Four, nature is unnecessary or frightening or merely pretty, or is a resource and not a responsibility, or even a benefit. And lastly, five, every man should worship one sexy woman and every woman should worship one strong man, or insert any gender and adjective you like. The second category of toxicity concerns the fact that pop culture is designed to release hormones, adrenaline included, that make thinking impossible. I experienced some of that while diligently watching at least two movies from beginning to end. It was a challenge I will not repeat, as there was no benefit. I'd made a few notes, but they proved rather useless. I believe pop culture addicts can be treated by showing them the truths and patterns hidden within pop culture. These truths are hidden from us by, of course, the promoters of pop culture, but also by fake intellectuals or scholars, really agents of confusion. They created interpretive systems that prevent us from interpreting books and movies correctly. Those agents of confusion include the following: Sir James, George Fraser, Carl Jung, Northrop Frye, Robert Graves, and any number of YouTube so-called intellectuals. Some are doing their best, I assume, but um, are far, far astray. In fact, the entire field of literary analysis was created to prevent us from recognizing the deepest patterns, both emotive or hormonal and semantic. The literal and symbolic schools of biblical interpretation are examples, but so are structuralism, Marxism, post-structuralism, postmodernism, psychoanalyticalism, feminism, post-colonialism, critical theory. All were designed to make us miss the most important patterns within cultural productions and the most secret intentions behind cultural productions, which I mentioned in my first paragraph. Today, I will begin my attempt to detox addicts by presenting evidence. Well, not only detox addicts, I'm also here to help others understand, others who are not, like myself, are not addicts, but wish to, are curious. What is the purpose of most of the movies, all of the movies, some of the movies, books, and so on out there, most of which I trust my people of like mind don't enjoy. Um, so today I will present evidence that many books contain cannibal subtexts and promote a divisive worldview in which the enemies are never our real enemies, by which I mean both the ruling, mind-controlling class and the fools who allow themselves to be mind-controlled. Well, maybe fools is a hard word here or unfair word. Um, we are being victimized by the education system, the media, etc. As a private writing and literature tutor, I help students comprehend famous books, plays, sometimes movies. The following chart reveals that some books read in high schools contain, either explicitly or implicitly, the cannibal and the human farming themes. Well, maybe delete human farming themes. Cannibal theme might suffice. We'll deal with the human farming theme in movie culture. First example, Macbeth by Shakespeare. Macbeth cuts his enemy open from chin to navel, supposedly on the battlefield, but that's impossible. This is a kitchen operation. The witches cook human body parts, and Macbeth sees his dead friend Banquo at his banquet. Well, you can guess who is the banquet. Candide by Voltaire. In Europe, Candide's girlfriend loses slices from her buttocks. An old woman claims Turkish soldiers ate two men, and native South Americans are portrayed as cannibals. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. The whale that amputated or ate Ahab's leg is Moby Dick, or MD for medical doctor, which means he represents all doctors and the cannibal cult. The Machine Stops, a short story by E.M. Forster. Allegedly, a subterranean world was created to protect people from nature. It's a lie, so what was the real purpose of isolating people underground? They did it for a reason. What might it be? Dracula by Bram Stoker. This one is easy. A vampire preys on humans for their blood. But why? It's the adrenochrome theme again. Maybe the first book to, well, aside from the Bible. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. A few quotes demonstrate my point. Talking about her as though she were a bit of meat. Bernard ground his teeth. Have her here, have her there, like mutton. And what makes it worse, she thinks of herself as meat. It only remained to conquer old age. Gonadal hormones, transfusion of young blood, adrenochrome again. To Serve Man, a short story by Damon Knight. Anthropomorphic aliens are suspected of eating humans. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Humans are represented by livestock that humans eat. Other humans. Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Children eat wild pigs, and one human character is nicknamed Piggy. What should we infer? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. A boy falls into a chocolate processing stream. Yum, yum. And a girl turns into a blueberry. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. While dressed as a pork chop, Scout was stalked by a hunter. Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The protagonist's original surname is Osborne, meaning born of an ox. She is the property of Commander Fred and renamed Offred, which resembles Offerd. She is an offering to the gods or the military. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. Children raised to be organ donors. What happens to the other parts of their bodies after they donate more than one kidney or one lung or one part of their liver? No one wants their blood? What? Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Children fight for food and life. Plus, Eucharist symbols are present. Cannibalism is strictly taboo because it happened in the dark days. However, Titus, a tribute from District 6, ate the tributes he killed. They contributed. Marrow Thieves by Cherry Demaline. The Canadian government hunts Indigenous people for their marrow, and we can guess what happens to the other parts of their prey. If you think these human farming and cannibalism themes are new, you don't know two important facts about the Bible. One can be demonstrated by examining the verse in Genesis that states Methuselah, the oldest character in the Bible, lived for 969 years. This number is reminiscent of the number 666. More importantly, Methuselah's father was Enoch, whose name is a fragment of the word adrenochrome. So the man who lives the longest is the son of a father who has part of the word adrenochrome in his name. And adrenochrome is allegedly blood that helps people live longer if injected. What about the other fragments of that name? We got Enoch. We still have Adder, A-D-R, and Rome. How curious. The Middle High German word Adder, just add an E, translates to vein, which is where we get blood from. No kidding. Plus the word adder with a double D most commonly refers to a type of small venomous snake. Such snakes symbolize the syringes used to inject adrenochrome. How curious. Who designed our language? Rome is the heart of the Catholic Church, and I've already exposed both the Roman Pantheon and the Vatican, and the complex underneath Rome as part of the world cannibal cult's infrastructure. I've done enough work on the Bible in my book, The Criminal Bible. So, what about movies? Yeah, I've just covered other books, not movies, not yet. I've always instinctively avoided movies, but they too involve the human farming cannibalism themes. So I discovered. Star Wars has many references to cannibalism. Several sci-fi and horror films feature underground human farms and clandestine military bases. While the two concepts rarely appear in the exact same film as a single plot point, they are major focal points in a few notable movies. First, The Farm. This extreme survival horror movie perfectly fits the definition of an underground human farm. It follows a young couple kidnapped by a cult and placed in hidden stables and pens where humans are treated exactly like livestock, bred and milked for consumption. The Island, I watched in its entirety. Ugh, I did react. I did feel my adrenaline um, rise and fall in response to, yeah, scary scenes. Let's call them what they are. Um, in this Michael Bay sci-fi film, wealthy elites live on the surface, while deep underground, a massive secret compound operates as a human farm. The humans are clones being grown for organ harvesting and as surrogate bodies. Daybreakers. I also watched from beginning to end. It's more of a horror film than a fear film. I had goosebumps a few times. Yes, goosebumps of, well, I guess that's a kind of animal response to a suspicion of danger. My cat's hair still stands up when danger approaches. It's the same response. This movie, Daybreakers, is set in a dystopian world overrun by vampires who want human blood in order to live longer. This film features sprawling underground human farms where the ruling vampires capture milk, well, milk for blood, harvest human blood to supply the dwindling population's needs. Jupiter Ascending in this space opera, an intergalactic dynasty operates massive subterranean facilities on foreign planets where they farm and harvest human bodies to distill an anti-aging serum that grants them immortality. Well, people live for thousands of years thanks to that anti-aging serum extracted, harvested at the cost of the lives of other humans. Let's have a look at a clip from said movie, Jupiter Ascending. One moment. Isn't that quite a beautiful building, isn't it? It's very much uh, an imitation of or variation on cathedrals. This is the central nave, rows of pillars, and this would be, I'm not sure what the name for these large windows. Many cathedrals have them. Of course, usually with stained glass. They create life. Well, he's the farmer, I guess, helping his human cattle propagate so that he can slaughter and harvest. Mhm. Consumerism to a new level. To live is to consume. Adrenochrome. Yeah, lovely nave there. There's the old drainage. This could it be set in an actual place? Why did they need the drainage trenches? Well, she has to be killed because she is royalty, a queen. We know. I think I've spoken about the sacrificial king ritual. It must apply also to so-called queens. Lovely, lovely stuff. And people pay to watch that stuff. Go figure. Um, I have a few more pictures from that movie that interested me because I have done quite a bit of work connecting architecture, especially religious Christian architecture, to the cannibal cult. This is again in a cathedral-like setting. Lots of candles. It could be Catholic, probably Orthodox, probably Hindu. Candles are popular. All these arches and pillars, um, minarets like towers. It's all the same. It's all the works of the same cult, as I've said before. Mosques, synagogues, cathedrals. I think one of the good men in this movie has a code or a logo branded on his neck. It's not legible, it's letters mangled and distorted. You'll find similar logos on some churches in Mexico and probably elsewhere. Again, all this old world architecture. Of course, they would prefer to live in such things rather than most of the condominiums, even the best ones available today. Yeah, toxic cultural product. Please be advised that all video game, movie, news, and literary products contain MCLs, mind control lies, and other ingredients harmful to mental health. I will resume with my script. Um, Jupiter Ascending, the slides and clip we just saw were from that movie. Uh, Mentions that the young woman, oh, not that young woman, another woman, um, is 14,004 years old. 14,004. That's 14004, which reduces to 29, which reduces to 11. And that woman's mother lived approximately 91,000 years. 91, or sorry, that can be reduced to 91, which can be reduced to 10, and the zero can be a 10 on its own, another 11. 10 can be reduced or increased actually to 11. Two 11s. Yeah, coincidence. The movie and the three-volume series Silo, on which it is based, are set in an underground world. Again, as is true in The Machine Stops by E.M. Forster, the governing class convinced its human prisoners that the outdoor world above is too toxic for habitation. In this case, because of nuclear war. Well, perhaps enough people believe in nuclear bombs for such a scenario to become reality. Just explode some huge piles of dynamite, tell the people that it's nuclear bombs going off, and we'll all be dead if we don't go underground immediately. Yeah, how many people would follow? Too many, probably. Uh, Today, perhaps farmland is being poisoned with chemtrails. I'm not certain about that. It's certainly being poisoned by farmers chemtrailing with their tractors, their spray machines, so that one day we will believe that life is better underground. Maybe. However, I suspect human slaves and human cattle are already living underground, have done so for centuries, and continue to be farmed beneath our feet, so to speak. And one day we may be forced off the ground into stupid cities, those few of us who still remain, clinging to life outside of cities. Shitties, I sometimes call them. Obviously, no government ever saves or protects its people. Certainly not by building expensive underground cities or underground bases. So the question must be asked, why does it help people live and procreate underground? I'm speaking about movies. Um, what benefit could it gain? And why are huge underground facilities being built? Well, I guess you can guess my answer. Silo is another toxic movie about humans living. And did you know that the word silo means an underground storage for food? Original meaning. Modern silos are above ground, but they are food storage containers. So to have in that movie people living in underground silos, I know most people don't understand farm vocabulary, but it means, of course, that everyone living in those silos is considered food, except for one silo. The one silo is supposedly for the ruling cannibal class. Um, yes, well, in that movie, many humans are living in silos and serving to be the food and adrenochrome for their masters. Well, that's very clever, isn't it? Because unlike other domesticated animals, human cattle can be trained to care for themselves, to clean up after themselves, too. If the slightest reason existed for believing that the pop culture themes of human farming and cannibalism are based in reality, would you still want to consume the products created by our culture creators? Now, skeptics and cowards might shout, "You're crazy," or ask, "So what? Who cares? It's only fiction and entertainment." Yes, but what if it isn't? And for what reason might our culture creators be so obsessed with these themes? Or it's not me who's really obsessed. I'm perhaps obsessed with exposing them. I'm certainly not interested in creating those themes. What if these dramatized themes don't only function to make thinking impossible? What if the human farming and cannibalism themes are not pure fiction? Questions for doubters, questions for cowards. There's truth in every joke, they say, and what if? What if the so-called non-fiction of history and news media is mostly fiction? Which it is. We know that. Those who are with me, we know that. So what if, inversely, truth exists in the most outlandish fiction, in stories about cannibalism and human farming? Let's consider video games, another unexplored region of pop culture. Human Farm is a satirical management simulator game where you play as an anthropomorphic pig in an Orwellian world. You manage a slaughterhouse, keep humans in cages, maintain optimal living conditions to prevent human flu, and dominate the international meat industry. Inside, created by Playdead. What a clever name for a company. Playdead. Oh, sorry. It is set in a dystopian world. The dark narrative eventually uncovers unsettling, sinister mind control experiments where the overarching theme heavily involves captive humans, treated as soulless resources. Yeah. Chicklets. Chicklets. Sounds like the name of a chicken production, meat production company. No, Chicklets is producing video games. Human Products is an indie game where you play as animals on a farm. You capture wild humans and harvest their body parts, skin and blood to craft recipes and clothing, flipping traditional livestock farming completely on its head. Oh, so clever, aren't they clever? And we wonder what's wrong with the new generation. Do we know the games they play? The toxic bowel shit they consume. Parents are too busy and are paying dearly already. The once popular Sims game treats humans as simians or apes and allows players to raise entire cities, exactly as the world cannibal cult has been doing for centuries. At least that is the conclusion produced by my decades of studying literature and, well, a couple of years of studying architecture. What if I am correct? What if the human farming and cannibalism themes are not innocent creations of pure imagination, but are based on reality? What if the secret underground military bases we pay for are actually farming humans for their adrenochrome and organs and for meat, all for the world controlling cannibal cult? If you already know that all wars are fake wars, that all military hardware is absurdly overpriced, and that the Pentagon was exposed for disappearing $21 trillion into a black hole, shouldn't we be asking, what is all the tax money allocated to militaries around the world actually being used for? If we are being ruled by millions of people who are addicted to adrenochrome and dependent on organ transplants for longevity, don't we have a possible explanation for what our rulers are doing with our taxes? Not to mention the money they drain from us through banksterism and corporatism. In my lecture, Fortress World of the Cannibals, I already exposed the fact that castles or forts were not defensive structures, but functioned as human prison farms for cannibals. Not coincidentally, we have many movies featuring underground military bases. If I could study them closely, I'm sure. I mean, if I could study underground military bases, not the movies, I can study movies if I have to. But those underground military bases, um, yeah. By the way, I did mention castles and forts being used as human prison farms for cannibals. But I believe, and I've spoken about this in other lectures, that once this cult mastered the art of tunneling underground, they moved their operations underground, beneath their cities, out of sight, out of mind, I suppose. And we are continuing that pattern, I believe, with our underground military, so-called military bases. Well, as I said, as if I could study them closely, I'm sure I could prove that they don't exist to defend us from war, but exist as human prison farms for cannibals. And perhaps there are labs there that are developing new toxic food products and toxic medicines for us, are the free range humans living above ground. So-called, well, free range might be a euphemism now, certainly in the future. Hopefully not. Some of the movies mentioned above already combine underground military bases and laboratories with the cannibal and human farming themes. Here are a few movies that challenge the conventional idea that underground military bases exist to protect humanity from foreign threats. Day of the Dead, uh, a film about a subterranean military base uh, following a massive zombie apocalypse. The remaining military personnel and scientists hide in a fully fortified underground military facility to conduct experiments and try to control the horde. That's us. We're already zombies, of course. That this is it's not really fiction, is it? It's just reality, uh, chewed and regurgitated so that it's not quite recognizable to most people. Most people wouldn't admit to being zombies. And I don't really like calling people zombies, but it's one word that seems to apply. Mostly, 10 Cloverfield Lane, mostly set in a highly fortified underground bunker built by an unhinged former military contractor. It's a isolated safe haven and prison. Underground, set in a former underground military base, the human inhabitants must defend themselves against mutated humans, not quite human humans. Several science fiction and horror films combined tropes of underground military secret bases with human abduction and experimentation. Here are some more examples. I'll let you check them out. I don't wish to read all the evidence to this court. There is a movie named Lumina. Yes, what are they called? The Illuminati, Illumina. Area 51, famously associated with aliens. 10 Cloverfield again. The Phoenix incident, the Phoenix, a symbol of death and rebirth. So, yeah, immortality, that's their obsession. Osiris is this Mesopotamian goddess, Egyptian. Immortality again. Day of the Dead. Yes, more zombies in a military bunker. Mm. Do we currently have underground complexes in operation farming humans? Militaries around the world have underground bases that are doing nothing. Well, are not doing their alleged work or the work they claim to be doing. Um, so the military is the number one suspect in my mind. If anyone, if this world cannibal cult is continuing its tradition of human farming, it is being done under the guise of military operations, as no government department or ministry ever receives more money than its military. Well, certainly in the West. Remember the Pentagon's missing $21 trillion? This is where the missing Pentagon money went. Let's have a look. There's a short video that was produced on this subject. One moment. I shared wrong thing. There we go. And here's the said clip.
And cities. Former Bush administration official Catherine Fitz. She was just on Tucker Carlson's podcast, and she did this really deep dive. Basically, they uncovered what they know of. There are 170 underground cities under the entirety of the U.S. and in the ocean that the U.S. has been building since 1988.
How many was that number, that special number? 170 reduces to 18, code for 666. So that's likely an invented number. And of course, Tucker Carlson is controlled opposition. And Catherine Austin Fitz, I'm of two minds about her, but that doesn't mean these people don't like leaking some of the truth, as we see in our books, our movies, our video games. They can't help themselves.
70 underground cities under the entirety of the U.S. and in the ocean that the U.S. has been building since 1988. With a total of what they found, they spent over $21 trillion on underground systems and cities. They said that they use an energy source or energy technologies that the public has never been allowed to see.
Yeah, exactly what I have spoken about regarding old world uh, architecture and technologies.
And it's all for the purpose of a potential extinction level event. Like for years now, people were like, that sounded like sounds like trumpets in the air and stuff. They're actively drilling under the entire US. And that's what I think it sounds like. It's just literally the earth just shifting underneath their feet. That's creating this noise of these trumpet like sounds.
Why wouldn't they do it? They have the money, they have the resources, they have the land.
But then here's the question: who's surviving?
Yeah. And that's the thing. This stuff gets at
Surviving? Surviving what? The nuclear bombs? Ah, too many will survive in the underground, I suppose.
this thing works, which it already has. People realize that. I mean, what are we going to do? We're not going to be on that list. People are going to lose their minds.
Pressure though, having to make a decision for your family. They're like, let's just say it was like you can come if you want, and it's like you have to make a decision. We're telling you it's gonna happen in like 30 days. Are you gonna come with us or not? And you actually.
Yeah, people have been conditioned to react to um, massive, uh, destructive events by the movies they watch, mostly by movies and perhaps by the video games they play. They've been conditioned, trained to not think, not question, not doubt. So let's stop that share and finish this little lecture. Maybe not little enough. I couldn't make it any tighter. Why not share this is a good time to share my script as we're looking at the world, the word military. What a strange word, military. Um, why are you blocking? Go away. Stop. Okay, whatever. It doesn't want to move. Ah, and I'll do it that way. Military. It has the word at least the sound, mill in it, and itar, mill, as we should know, though many might not, is a place for processing food. This is all about food. Everything turns out to be about food. Indeed. Mill has at least four definitions, all related to food. That leaves the fragment itar. Occasionally, itar is a variation of itatar or tatar, which refers to the Tatar language, spoken by several million people. Tatar is also a variant of Tartarus, which in the Bible, at least four or five uh, editions, means hell. Um, Tartarus. So, mill and itar equals subterranean mill for processing food. As I said, Tartarus is hell, underground. Mill is a place for processing food. Mill and itar. What kind of food, you ask? As I recall, Revelation has a nice verse in which a mill-like contraption, really a wine press, is used to squeeze the blood out of humans. Yeah. Do you still want to watch movies and read novels and lick the blood from your Bible? Do you think it's all fun and games? Do you? You must start. We must start preparing, detoxing from all forms of media, training our minds to think clearly in any circumstance, organizing groups of like-minded people, leading attacks and consumerism revolt, and growing our food before the military, big ag, medicidal complex poisons us into helplessness. Yeah, I'm looking to buy some land here. I don't have much to spend, but perhaps one day it's necessary, um, at the very least. It's necessary to be aware. And really, it's not just about preparing for doomsday. No, the gardening is an amazing way to spend time. Gardening is a great way to ensure you're not poisoning yourself and having, uh, it's a great way to be healthy, and I like being healthy. Who doesn't? You know, there are positive reasons for doing everything we should be doing, not just reacting to avoid uh, a speculated, potent, possible future, worse future, let's say. No, it's being off grid and independent can be, should be a wonderful way to live. With that, I sign off again, forgetting to share my contact and book order list. You can reach me at Prophet of Fiction at someone help me out. Prophet of Fiction at proton.me.